All right, Handel's Messiah by George Frederick Handel. Okay, so we're doing the Hallelujah course. And now we're going back to the Baroque period again. So you might want to get out your theory book and reread the Baroque chapter at the very end of the book. Because eventually we are going to get into the classical period. So I'll have you do that study as well. Just because this kind of ties in with Mozart, which we'll talk about later. So rather than bore you with 101 facts, I wanted to point out that as you're reading the history paper I gave you on Frederick Handel, you'll notice he was born in Germany in 1685. Okay? George Frederick Handel was born in Germany in 1685, but also Bach was born on March 31st, 1685 in Germany as well. Interestingly, the two never met. I did some research on that. There doesn't seem to be a time when the two composers, as much as they were very, very similar in a lot of ways, they never really met. But they were very, very similar with their melodic techniques. And as I'm going to explain later on, they have a connection with a doctor. So we'll talk about that later on as we go. So I taught you a lot of great songs from Mozart to Beethoven, going back to Bach, Silent Night, one of the greatest songs in music history. But now I'm going to teach you probably what is regarded as the greatest oratorio in music history, and that's the Messiah, the Hallelujah course. And I don't know if you have actually heard the Messiah all the way through. There's parts in there that actually are performed a lot at Christmas time, including the Unto Us a Child is Born, very popular song. It's done by even some secular artists as well. But we're just going to focus on the Hallelujah course from the Messiah, which is at the very, very end. It has to do with the resurrection of Jesus. So going back to Baroque music, I want you to keep in mind that this was probably either composed on the harpsichord or the organ, because the piano wasn't invented and put into use until the late Baroque period. And you'll notice this is very, very typical with Bach and a lot of composers from the Baroque period. They actually like to write contrapuntal music. Contrapuntal music, okay? That's basically showing that there's different melody lines in both hands, right hand, left hand. Different melody lines are played simultaneously, and then they eventually come together to become a whole piece. Okay, so that's very, very typical with Bach, Handel, and most of the composers from the Baroque period. Besides being a virtuoso violin player, Handel actually was a very skillful organ player and harpsichord player. My guess is the entire Messiah was probably written on the organ, so in some of these videos I'm going to use the organ sound so you can actually hear probably how it was originally written and played, and we'll talk more about the history behind it later. But right now, I just want you to look at this fingering I put down for you right here. It's very, very important that we go by the fingering. Okay, so if you don't have it written in yet, you might want to go ahead and start writing this on your piece of paper. The opening note, the D, because we're in the key of D, two sharps, F sharp and C sharp. The last sharp is C sharp, go up one note, you got D, or also if you remember, the D scale has two sharps. So, finger 1 is on D. When you go to the F sharp and the A, use fingers 4 and 2, jump up to 5 and 3 for the G and B, and back to 4 and 2. Big stretch, F sharp and D, a 1 and a 5. Jump down to a D and an F sharp, a 1 and 3, a 2 and 4 for the E and G, back to the 1 and 3. Finger 5. We're only looking at, by the way, the first 3 lines on page 1. Second line, 4, 3, 1 and 2 for the C sharp and the E, back to the 1 on D. And then everything repeats. Okay? So we're just going to focus on the right hand right now. Okay, notice it's marked Allegro. That's a fast tempo. And it's also forte, which means loud. We're going to take this andante, A-N-D-A-N-T-E. That means slow. We're not going to go fast yet, especially when we start adding the left hand to it, until we get used to both hands together. count as you're playing. Here's your right hand. 1, 2, 3. 4 and 2. Rest, rest. Switch, put a 1 on the F sharp, 5 on the high D. Jump down, and you'll go to 1, 3 right here. 4, 2. Rest, 5, 4, 3, 1, 2. With the C sharp, and then 1 on the D. So count as you're doing it. 1, 2, 3. Rest, rest. 3. Rest. 1, 2. Repeats. Rest, rest. 2, 3. Rest. 1, 2. 2, 3, 4. So you notice in your left hand here, you're on a low D, which is the D below middle C. So if here's middle C, you're going to be on the D down here. So both hands are basically in D position. So you notice in your left hand, you just start to ascend the notes. 5, 4, 3, come back to the 5, go to a 2 and a 5. And everything's quarter notes. Just keeps a nice steady beat. So as you're counting the 1, 2, 3, 4, you're just going bum, 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 bum. Rest, rest. Here's your half note rest. 2 beats. Same thing again. 5, 4, 3, 5, 4, 5 now instead of 2, 5. Then after your 1 beat rest, come in on a third finger. 3, 4, hold for 2 beats. 1, hold for 2 beats. 3 and 5, holds out for 4 beats. All right, so let's put together. Here's your left hand. 5, 4, 3. Don't forget your F sharp. 5, 2, 5. Rest, rest. 5, 4, 3, 5, 4, 5. Rest. 3, 4. Hold for 2 beats. 1. Hold for 2 beats. 5 and 3. Hold for 4 beats. Okay, with timing. And I'm going to be counting now your quarters. So it'll be 1, 2, ready, go. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That repeats. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now, as you practice, take about a day or two. Just work with your hands together, and then see if you can actually try to put it together very, very slowly. Okay? We'll see how you do during the lesson.